Hi guys, welcome to Wrestling Retrospective, and in this video I'll be doing my predictions for AEW Full Gear 2024. First up, we have Roderick Strong taking on MJF, a match that I don't have much interest in. I'm not the biggest Roderick Strong fan. I know there's a lot of passionate ones out there, but for me this feels like a feud before the main feud, which will be MJF and Adam Cole, that I want to see at World's End, because it'll bring it like though it doesn't really matter anymore, it'll bring the whole full circle moment of when the Devil revealed himself last year to MJF and Adam Cole having their match finally into that feud. Even though there really isn't a feud to go on, and it's all really messed up at this point, and there's really no point in having this feud at all, because Adam Cole's the heel and MJF was the face. But you know, we're going to get around to it anyway. I feel like we were going to get to it at some point, but yeah, for me, MJF gets a win here. Very, I won't say easily. Like, Andre Strong will put a decent match in, but yeah, for me, this is just a precursor to MJF Adam Cole at World's End. And for me, it'll be a win for MJF to get that momentum building towards the match at the end of the year. Following that, we have Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa's championship celebration. For me, the only reason I am bringing this up is because I feel like there's going to be big implications for World's End for this one. And for me, it makes the most sense here for Mariah May to find out why Mina went to Japan a few months ago, and that she was teaming with Toni Storm, and that, you know, Mariah would be incredibly insulted by that. And essentially, Mariah May is going to Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa, and she's going to absolutely bludgeon her for teaming with Toni Storm after their match at All In. And this will end up with a feud ender at World's End, I assume. But yeah, I'm expecting a big moment out of it. I don't know whether, personally myself, I would have their championship celebration going really well. And then you have the Vendetta, which is Gianna Perrazzo and Ty Valkyrie, of course. Couldn't think of Ty Valkyrie then. You have them come out, and you have them come out and show pictures of Mina and Toni embracing each other after a win, hugging, all that kind of stuff, of which you have Mina stood behind Mariah May, so she can't see Mariah May's reaction, and you either do it so Mariah is incredibly upset and then she bludgeons her, or you have it so Mariah smiles, as in she already knew, and this whole championship celebration has been a setup the whole time, and she bludgeons her. Like, either way, I've got a feeling that Mina Shirakawa is not safe in this championship celebration. Following that, we have Jack Perry versus Daniel Garcia for the TNT Championship. And for me, I'm going to go with Daniel Garcia to get the win here. For me, it makes the most sense that AEW kind of get rid of all elements of the Elite that they possibly can. And that would mean Jack Perry losing the title here. I don't think it would hurt him at all, and he can win it back quite easily when the Elite want to reappear. So I assume take down the Death Riders. That's my assumption anyway. But also it means that we have another babyface champion, which I think is going to help the product in a way that, like, not, because most champions are still heel. I can't actually think of any face champions at the minute, but you know, it makes sense that Garcia, as one of the people who they kind of want to lead the line as far as against rebellion against the Death Riders, he's one of the people that they definitely have investments in. Therefore, it makes sense that he would become the TNT champion and kind of use that pedestal to kind of, again, head up a team against the Death Riders. Also, it takes Jack Perry out of the equation for a bit, which I feel like makes sense. And on the other side, of course, you know, Daniel Garcia has gotten the best of Jack Perry like massively last week on Collision, which could be a bad omen. But yeah, for me, Daniel Garcia gets the win here. The Elite kind of go away. I know that Okada will still be around for the Continental Classic, but he can't have anyone at ringside or anything, so there's kind of no risk of having the Elite having to come back. And then he might lose the championship in the Continental Classic, and then he goes away for a bit, and then there's like 0 Elite members around, and that's how we kind of concentrate more on the Death Riders. But yeah, for me, Daniel Garcia will become the new TNT champion. After that, we have the Fatal 4-Way match for the World Tag Team Championships, where we have the Acclaimed taking on the Outrunners, taking on the House of Black, taking on the Champions Private Party. For me, again, it's very much not going with my heart and going very much with my head. My heart, I want Kings of the Night Throne or the House of Black to win, and I want them to win emphatically, but I simply cannot see that happening. Just the whole booking for the House of Black has been crap all year. They're not going to give them tag titles here. So yeah, for me, the obvious choice is the Private Party, get the win here and retain the championships. They have just won them, and they've barely had a reign started, so it makes sense that they would carry on here. They get rid of 4 tag teams in the division. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think this was going to be the match. It made a lot more sense in my head that FTR and LFI were in this match rather than Kings of the Night Throne and the Acclaimed, as the Outrunners, FTR and LFI have all been feuding within each other on Collision. I was very surprised that the Acclaimed and House of Black got into this. But yeah, for me, as much as I would love to see Malachi Black and Brody King walk out with the championships, just going off history, it's just not going to happen, unfortunately, and it's going to be a Private Party that probably come out with the championships. So yeah, that's my pick pretty much. After that, we have Hangman Adam Page taking on Jay White in a rematch from WrestleDream. For me, it just makes the most sense that Hangman gets a win here, and within this feud, we have a 1-1 draw going into World's End or going into Winter's Coming or something, one of the either Special Dynamites or World's End, and they have a rubber match for this feud. I know that they've faced plenty of times in probably Ring of Honor and New Japan and probably in AEW, but yeah, for me, for this feud-wise, Hangman gets the win based purely upon it would be 1-1 in this feud, and they would have a rubber match to kind of seal this part of each other's feud off, and then they move on to greater things, pretty much. But yeah, for me, very easy, not much to say on this one. Just, yeah, makes the most sense to go 3 matches with this one. Following that, we have Mercedes Moné defending the TBS Championship against Chris Statlander, and again, it's another case of head over heart. I would love for Chris Statlander to become the new TBS champion and to elevate that championship once again. Not saying that Moné hasn't elevated the title, but when Cargill and her as in Statlander, had the championship, they were defending it like every other week. It was fun, like really ton of defenses. And yeah, on Dynamite, Mercedes Moné said that she's held it for longer than Statlander. Probably hasn't defended it half as much as Statlander did though. So yeah, for me, I would love to see Statlander as the TBS champion, but as you guys probably all know at this point, Mercedes Moné ain't losing for a long time. Ain't gonna lose that championship. She even said on Dynamite she's gonna be champion forever, and if it was up to her, she probably would be. I mean, it probably is up to her, to be fair, because she's probably head of a creative. So yeah, for me, she ain't losing it here. I don't think there's any jeopardy in her title at all coming up anytime soon. She's probably going to be champion longer than Jade Cargill, which is going to be a shame. But, for me, I just never bet against Moné. Like, I will be pleasantly surprised when she drops that championship because I will never see it coming. Yeah, my hatred for Moné is very, very high, and she absolutely does made in it every single way, and I hope she loses it every time she defends it. But yeah, the safest bet is to have her retain the championship. After that, we have Kyle Fletcher taking on Will Ospreay in a very, very highly personal feud and grudge match and all that good stuff. For me, I'm going to go with Kyle Fletcher to get the win here, basically because Ospreay can afford a loss. We know this. He lost the triple threat match at WrestleDream, he lost the match against Swerve, and his momentum hasn't been killed off at all. He's still just as much in the main event fold if he wanted to be, or not just something that I know what I'm talking about. But I think here, not only did these two put on a 5-star classic on Dynamite, like the day after or a couple of days after Ospreay debuted, not a day after, like a few days after Revolution. But for me, if Ospreay wins that match, it makes sense that Kyle Fletcher would then win this match, therefore making it 1-1, similar with Hangman and Jay White. Then they can have a rubber match at Winter's Coming, World's End, whenever. But also, this match really is a star-making match for Kyle Fletcher, in my opinion, and giving him a win against Will Ospreay really shows the intentions of AEW in having Fletcher be a face of the company in the future. I'm not saying right now, but in a few years, he will be up there with probably the best of them. And he's already suggesting parts of that now. The fact that he's in the same group as Takeshita, that group is going to be incredible at one point. And yeah, I think for here, I don't think a loss for Will Ospreay will hurt him too much. And losing to someone who is a definite up-and-comer, someone who's going to be a future face of the company, it makes sense that they give Kyle Fletcher a massive win over Will Ospreay at Full Gear, which kind of sets him up for life almost, with him just elevating up the card further and further up until he's at the main event point. So yeah, for me, I'm going to go with Kyle Fletcher. As I said, Will Ospreay doesn't need this win necessarily, and it will be huge for Kyle Fletcher. After that, we have Bobby Lashley in his first pay-per-view match. It would have been his first debut match, but they did it on Dynamite last night randomly, so not doing much about that, versus Swerve Strickland. And for me, this is the hardest match by far to predict on the card, because Swerve almost can't afford another loss on pay-per-view. You know, he lost it all in, he lost it all out, he wasn't at WrestleDream. On match-wise, he was like, you know what I mean, he was like, you know, he announced that he was going to be thing, the Hurt Syndicate show, etc. You all saw it. But then Lashley needs a win in his debut as well. Or not his debut. I keep wanting to say debut, and he's not. But he needs a win here as well. He needs a big win to get himself straight into that fucking momentum caliber and just get him there as far as, like, building up the card. For me, I'm going to go with Lashley. And I'm not fully convinced of that. I wouldn't be surprised if we went either way. I don't think they'll go to I mean, they could go to a draw, I guess, but I don't feel like that would help either guy either. For me, it would make the most sense to have Bobby get the win here if it meant that the doubts of losing all the time then persuade Swerve to almost join the Hurt Syndicate, or convince him to actually join the Swerve Syndicate, the Hurt Syndicate. I feel like the best way to go with the Hurt Syndicate is to have Swerve in it, and also to have Ricochet in it as well, and maybe a few others. Maybe Powerhouse Hobbs would be good for it as well. But yeah, it's kind of like how we get there. I feel like this isn't going to be a one-off match for these two. I feel like they might have a big, or at least a decent feud. They have like a match here, Winter's coming, and World's End maybe, and they have a stipulation added to it or something. Like, we know that Swerve loves a good stipulation. But yeah, for me, I feel like it makes the most sense right now that they play on Swerve's insecurities, have him lose again on pay-per-view, which then convinces him a little bit more to join MVP, Charlotte, Benjamin and Lashley. And it also gives Lashley a huge first pay-per-view win over the former world champion and someone who has by far had the best 2024 in wrestling. So yeah, for me, I'm going to go with Bobby Lashley. I am slightly hesitant about it. I'm really not sure who's going to get this win and get the win in this one. But yeah, for me, it's going to be a great match, and the unpredictability only helps it. And finally, in the main event, we have Orange Cassidy challenging Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship in a match that I think will be absolutely fantastic. I loved their match at All Out last year. I was okay with their match at Full Gear last year, but for me, this is probably the most intense this feud has been by a country mile. And yeah, I think it's going to absolutely, I don't want to say steal the show, but there's a lot of high quality matches on this one, and this one isn't going to disappoint either. But for me, Moxley is the clear out and out winner. There's no way they are stopping this Death Riders storyline this early in. It's barely a month in. Like, okay, well, that's not true. It's a few months in, maybe. But yeah, it's going to be a very long time before we see this come to an end. I feel like it's going to be a case of Moxley destroys Cassidy here, sends him away for a while. Because let's be fair here, Orange Cassidy's been due a holiday for years now, especially after what he was doing in 2022 and 2023. He is due some time off. Let's all be clear with that. Therefore, they have Moxley absolutely, like, they have a good match. But then the further we get into it, the more Moxley is absolutely decimating Orange Cassidy, to the point where we don't see Cassidy for months and months and months. So then when this feud finally does come to an end, we have him come back for it. And it's kind of like, the way I see this feud is that, like, Moxley is like Bane in Dark Knight Rises, and he's trying to rebuild AEW in the way that he sees fit. So, and then to kind of switch it a bit back to Marvel, the way I think they're going to do it is they have Moxley just destroy all the top baby faces in the company. Cassidy, Garcia, Darby Allin. No one else is really coming to mind right now, but you know what I mean. And then they all come together at the end to overtake Moxley in like a Avengers Endgame type style feud / story / matches, where Moxley just gets absolutely destroyed and the Death Riders get destroyed, and then they go away for a while. But yeah, for me, this does not end here. Cassidy is no way winning this match. Moxley is 100% winning. I would put my whole house on Moxley winning this match and just destroying Orange, sending him away for a bit, and carrying on with their takeover of AEW. So those are my predictions for AEW Full Gear 2024. You put down in the comments what you think is going to happen. For me, this could be one of the best pay-per-views of the year, match quality-wise, if anything else. You know, Statlander and Monet should kill it. Swerve and Bobby Lashley are going to be great. Orange and Moxley is probably going to be the best match of the night. Hangman and White are too great. You know, they can't pretty much put on a bad match. Ospreay and Carl Fletcher have already proven they can have a great match. Therefore, you know, there's really nothing standing in the way of this being an absolute classic from AEW. I'm not saying it's going to be all out 2021, but this is definitely going to be up there with pay-per-views of the year, in my opinion. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy the pay-per-view, and yeah, do put down in the comments what you want to see, what you think is going to happen, your predictions, any feedback for me, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video, which will be the review of Full Gear on either Sunday or Monday. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. I'll ask you to subscribe, all that good stuff. Go join the Patreon, there's a link for it down below. Follow the new Instagram I'm doing, it has all the links to videos and the Patreon and the reports I do on the Wrestling For You website. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy Full Gear, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll see you later.